Islamic Council. Welcome to the GRTS program of the role of religious leaders in promoting peaceful coexistence. Now, this program is actually sponsored by Grts, which is through funding from the Catholic Relief Services. We'll start off with Pastor Edu Gomez from the Roman Catholic Church. Good evening and welcome to this wonderful discussion. First of all, let's start off with, why are we embarking on such a noble cause of promoting peaceful coexistence between different faiths here in the Gambia?
I must first give my reaction to extend my greetings to you as well,
Thank you very much.
the anchor man and the one that is like linking us all together.
Absolutely.
In this program. I would say there is need for it because in as much as we know the history of our society and little community in the Gambia, people have been living together in peaceful coexistence, urban area, rural area, and our differences somehow enhance how we related with one another, whether it's religion, tribe, or otherwise, even in terms of age and generation. And that enabled people, because it's a small country, and I remember Bishop Cleary, God rest him, used to say, small is beautiful. It's a small country, and as we were here, everybody knew each other. From school, from street football, from meeting at the market, from meeting at different venues, which really touched the lives of people. Our elderly people used to know each other because they were like working in the civil service, working for government.
Yeah.
Our elderly people also used to meet each other in terms of what society would bring. They would come and meet, talk, and exchange ideas. Families used to intermarry. And all these things had enriched our country. And today, we want to look back towards what we had before in order to help enhance our own society and bring something to the new generation. Mr. Jaite there, when I was exchanging with him before I came into the program, once he called his name, I said, well, I know you. You see, and we've not seen for ages. Well, left St. Augustine's High School since 1978 or 77. And today, once he called his name, I get connected.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
It's an honor. Mr. Jete, it's such a very important discussion we're talking about here. We do remember and we do know that in our history books that in the Gambia, Muslims and Christians has been living very, very peacefully. What do you think is the role of religious leaders in ensuring that that peaceful coexistence actually thrives and continues till the other generations to come?
Thank you very much, brother, for that beautiful introduction.
Son, I'm your son, I can say.
Well, okay. No problem.
Okay.
For that wonderful introduction and the same salutations to Father Gomez, who actually, as he rightly said, out of that brief discussion, we were able to reconnect ourselves back, nostalgically, to ages where there was that harmony that we are now discussing about.
Absolutely.
Well, actually, before I go in directly into what you asked me to dilate on, I want to add something on what Father Gomez said.
Absolutely.
Well, I think you asked, why are we, embarking on this discussion or dialogue? I think it is more of a preemptive process than something that actually is happening. The dynamics of today are completely different from that of yesterday.
Is it?
And because, as I was telling the father, we were taken unaware. Technology has surprised Africa, the communities. So in order for us to preempt what is the unknown, we need to be engaging in such, constructive, conducive discussions to transmit yesterday, the values of yesterday, how we were living, in order to bring it to the current generation or to the present generation. And you asked me, what are the roles of the Islamic or opinion leaders?
Religious leaders.
Religious leaders.
Religious
Both
leaders.
Muslims and Christians.
Exactly, both Christians and Muslims. you see, our humanity, common humanity precedes religiosity. Our common humanity precedes our religiosity. Before I become a Muslim, he becomes a Christian. We were humans, isn't it? So this is the principle. This is the base from which we can just we use as a springboard. The best way for a religious leader, to promote or to engage in that continuous process of maintaining and promoting peace, for him to be able to completely decant his own mind of preconceptions. He has to free himself out. This is the first cardinal principle. He has to be very, very, very much liberated from negative preconceptions about the order. In fact, we like to be using the word tolerance. But even in English, the word tolerance is not even suitable for people of different religious denominations. Because tolerance entails one is superior, the other one is inferior.
True.
So you don't use it. So we're talking about accommodating, accommodating each other. So when we say religious leaders, they have that influence on their congregations. But when they are able to liberate themselves of negative preconceived notions and ideas about the order for lack of information and for lack of engagement and for lack of getting first-hand objective information about the order, then there is always curiosity, and wherever curiosity dominates, there is suspicion. So when this is eliminated, we can even speak and talk to our congregations. We can manipulate, not manipulating them, willfully as we wish, but we can control their emotions, their sentiments. We can just mobilize everything that is human, because in every human being there is that goodness anyway. We can exploit the goodness in every mind and just gear it towards a common good, towards our common humanity. Because a religion basically comes as, a response. It is a necessary human response, for peace, for stability, for brotherhood, for understanding on this earth. Because there is no religion that is espousing, and there is no religion that is propagating. Any religion that is, pretending or saying it is propagating war, it is not a religion, it's an ideology. It is a worldly movement. But every religion, either you believe in it or you don't believe in it, is here to maintain peace and stability. Because it appeals to our humanity before it appeals to their different religiosity.
Very interesting. I would like to move on to Pastor Sylvester Jame, one of the youngest and most profound pastors here in the Gambia. To be honest, our forefathers has built the founding blocks already for us to actually maintain this peaceful coexistence. But us, the young people that maybe politicians use, or maybe even satanic movements use to actually propagate inferiority or even bad emotions towards each other. How can we, the young people, make sure we preserve the peace that these people have already built the founding blocks on?
Very well. Thank you very much, brother, for this platform. It is said that whatever is not maintained will decay. Whatever is not maintained will decay. We take care of our teeth, because if we just, neglect them, then they will decay.
Absolutely.
We maintain our houses. So I'm saying that to also imply that what our forefathers have left here, if we don't work on it to maintain it, it will decay as well. So the peaceful coexistence that have been here for years, for decades, we have to keep working on it. Because if we just, assume that on its own it can be sustained, that will not happen. So we must work, we must, do what is necessary to keep it going. They have handed it over to us, right? Now we need to keep it rolling. And how do we do that? We must be intentional about it. We must have gatherings like this. We must also find platforms where we will sit and talk, and remember what the fathers passed over to us, and nurture those things, because that is when this, coexistence will continue. Otherwise, we will lose it. And we must be aware that things are changing a bit. you know, and that is because we have neglected, you know, this platform for a while. But I'm glad that Caritas, they are coming up to bring us together again so that we will discuss these things and nurture the relationships, yes.
Pastor, how has religion itself contributed so much to our culture? We do understand that when there's Christmas, people come out and do the huntings. And most of the people coming out and do the huntings are even Muslims. When it's New Year's Eve, when we have the Egere in Banjo, most of the people contributing there are even Muslims. How has religious activities, celebrations, got into our culture so much that you can't even differentiate who's the Muslim and who's the Christian in certain events?
You know, from the point of view of us Christians, I remember reading a book called Christianity in Culture.
Okay.
And the ideals or the suggestions that are there is talking about what you said. Religion comes out because it's good. Religion comes out because it enables people to acknowledge and ascertain the presence of a supreme being. And we give the supreme being different names. And you cannot have religion in vacuum. It must be established within the lives of people. So you see, sometimes people be talking about religion is a way of life, religion is principles, but these things affect us. You see, I'm like looking at 4 mediums through which, when we talk about interfaith dialogue, dialogue leads us to that. Number 1 is life. Ordinarily, people go about their business, they meet in the markets, they meet in the football field, they meet in the streets. There is no special route for Christians. There is no special market for Christians.
Absolutely.
There is no special hospital for Christians or Muslims. You know, there is no special stadium for Muslims. We all integrate, we live together. So you see, that's where fundamentally the whole idea is leading us to. The dialogue of life and then the dialogue of study. We went into St. Augustine's High School from different homes, but we ended up studying together for 5 years in the same classroom, exchanging with one another. And within that classroom, if he knows what I'm talking about, and I can recall, there's never been a stance in which I will point a finger at him, you Hamad, you are a Muslim. Or he says, you Edward, you are a Christian. Nothing like that. We share meals. Remember, we used to have the common meals for the school. And we go in there, pick up a benachin, plate of benachin, and maybe sometime he started beside me, I sit beside him, or maybe stand, and we all dipping our hands into the same thing. That is the dialogue of life. Study, school as well. The opportunity is given. The structure is the Catholic Church that has built the structure. But the Catholic Church is not just saying, let only Christians come and study and go. In fact, in our own time, it's as if everybody wants to go to the Catholic school.
Yeah, in fact, I've been to Catholic schools my whole life, St. Joseph X People, St. Theresa's, and St. Augustine's. And there's never been a time that I've heard that a student has been discriminated because of his faith. How has the Catholic mission actually been doing that for the past 50, 60 years? Teaching Muslims, harboring Muslims, and never
up to humanity, as he was saying. I have read some part of the Quran. I love Surah Al-Baqarah. And some of the lines that you read there, beginning says that God created one humanity. And it's from that humanity that we begin to classify ourselves into religions and languages and colors and the like. But that is always my reference to go back. When I read that, one of those lines there in that surah, it touches me. Because when I see Hamad, I don't see him as a Muslim. I see him as a human person created by God. Now, coming again to work, the opportunity for us to work. When you go to the villages, people used to share farms. Whether you are Maninka or Jola or Christian or Muslim, we should share farms. Go together and work. And then we end up work, we come back to retire in our different homes. Festivities. As you were talking about Christmas, whether it's Korite as well, end of Ramadan. Everybody goes in and celebrate, you know. So all I'm saying there is that we have to bring this back to the people, because the generation that we have has been a generation that has been commercialized. People see profit and gain most of the time. Look at what does happen. When they say it's feast or a religious feast, people begin to sell these shoes 3 times the price. And that's not good. So we need to bring their minds back into this whole experience of interfaith dialogue or peaceful religious coexistence. I talked about intermarriage. I have 2 sisters who are married to Muslims. My own, let's say, nieces and nephews, they come to me and call me uncle. I don't look at the religious part of it. When the young ladies are to marry, I come and stand there as an uncle. So it's something that we used to cherish. It's something that we had, and our own forefathers have given them to us. We need to pass on that tradition and the whole issue of having that heart that is open to God and humanity. So, bringing in this discussion, in fact, I have a lot of Imam friends. Sometimes we used to have one, that's while I was here, because I later took on appointment in Sierra Leone. We used to have interfaith group for peace and dialogue. That's what we used to call. And then almost like every fortnight we used to meet. Imam Babali is a friend of mine. His own brother Babukar is a friend of mine. We used to be in that same forum. And then we would meet, discuss, exchange, even use the opportunity of the media in order to be able to come back and people see us. They see Imam, they see priest, they see bishop, they see Imam Ratib, even together discussing. So there is a lot that religious leaders can give to the present society and community that we are living in. And also people look onto them and say, this is good. Our own Imam is sitting there and talking to the priest or the pastor. We used to have an exchange. Let me just conclude that because the program is meant for all of us.
Okay.
We used to have an exchange in which there used to be a letter coming in from Rome, the Pope, and myself and the former bishops would convey these greetings for the end of Ramadan. And then the Pope would write pleasantries to talk about how Christians and Muslims can live together, can be at ease with one another. Secondly, also to congratulate the Muslims, to say what you have done in sacrifice. It is Allah who is going to reward you because you have done it. And then fasting is not just a Muslim tradition or practice. It comes to us Christians as well. We do that. And I will tell you that we used to go frequently to Imam Ratib of Banjul, this one, or even the former one, Abdullah Jub, the old part, and in Lancaster. And you realize that we go in there, he called his own, what do you call it, closer, other committee of elders or so. Yes. And we sit. We give this gesture and they are happy. Once of a time, the Imam said, you are always coming to us. We want to also come to you. Yes. And it was beautiful. We agreed. It was after Christmas also. They came to Hagan Street at the cathedral there, and they came upstairs. We discussed, we chatted, we shared snacks and drinks.
Wonderful.
And that really was a of experience to show to the community. Because like what he was saying, is only when people have a preconceived idea and mind that we cannot sit together, we cannot even eat each other's food.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
That very afternoon, the Imam even said, can I have extra takeaway? And we all
That Imam was a Jubin. That's why he asked for extra food. But moving on to Mr. Jete, you know, with the little knowledge I know about the Quran and Islam, I do understand that the Quran advocates for a peaceful coexistence between the Muslims and the Christians. I would like you to actually delve a little bit more into it and quote from the Quran or give references to certain hadiths that actually dictates or tells Muslims that this is how you should live with your fellow non-believers or other faiths, of Christians or other faiths. This is how you're supposed to live together.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think, in fact, the name of the religion and the person subscribing to that religion, Muslim and Islam, is even enough if properly understood and implemented correctly according to the text. But there's a problem in the world now between what is written and what is applied or practiced in society. So when somebody is called a Muslim, you know, you give him the title, that qualification of being a peaceful person, verbally, physically, in every aspect of your existence, you must be a peaceful person. And as you rightly asked, the Quran, in fact, in the Holy Quran, I think in the the chapter he mentioned, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala look at that principle of divine defense mechanism. Allah says, if it is not the defense procedure of Allah using one people against others, listen to this, very interesting. He mentioned four different locations and sites of worship. He says, without doing that, that is, in fact, it's called the survival of the fetus when it comes to evolution. Using one against the other.
Right.
It says, if Allah has not used that mechanism to use others to just defend against others, then the places of worship, one, monasteries, synagogues, mosque, and
churches.
The monasteries, synagogues, mosque, and the fourth one is, we have four areas of worshiping.
Churches.
Yeah, churches, synagogues, monasteries, and mosques. Look, four places of worship. The Quran mentioned them clearly, as if these are the object of defense, divine defense that Allah is defending against. So that tells you that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in principle has endorsed the existence either in the past or now or in the future, that there are four different locations where, and the verse continues saying, where his name is mentioned and praised frequently. So these four places are mentioned. So anybody who goes against these four locations, you're going against divine defense mechanism. You will be defeated. That's one. The second one is, the Quran says, those closest in love to you as Muslims are the Christians, because they have educated people and they have their fathers and pastors. Very clear in
The Quran said that?
In the Quran says that.
Wow.
Well, I'm talking to the world, not to you. And
Wonderful.
any authority I'm resorting to is going to be, I'm going to be responsible for it.
Yes.
Those nearest in love, in faith to you as Muslims are those who call themselves Christians. الَّذِينَ قَالُوا إِنَّا نَصَارَى. You know why? Because they have pastors and fathers and educated members. This is clearly in the Holy Quran. So the problem, I must go back to the inception. Because we lack that objective and authentic information about each other. Very few Muslims would dare and venture into the Bible. But very few Christians would either go into the Holy Quran. If these are properly researched, understood, there would be a point of convergence. Nobody will ever even attempt to think of stirring or provoking anything that would bring disunity, much less war or instability. So we have a problem. We have a problem of term of references. We need to know each. That's why, as my good father says rightly, in the past, as a Gambian, as an African, it is not written on my forehead, I'm a Christian or I'm a Muslim. But it is my attitude, conduct, and behavior that tells me who I am. The importance of man is not in what he claims to be, but what he is able to produce as a consequence of his belief and concept and his ideology. So this is what I believe in. So this is why it is clear in the Holy Quran. Because as Whether it is a father, an imam, or a pastor, we are entrusted and charged to go and call the flocks to the way of God. But we are not charged to judge people, or to offend people, or to injure people, or to force and compel them to come into our fold if they don't have it. Because piety and faith cannot be imposed, but it is inculcated and accepted. It's an inspiration.
You need to come in and put your finger on one thing that is there in every society, in every religion. There is extremism.
Thank you very
And
much.
those are the ones that I like taking people's own mind
I just want to go
away
to that
from
fact.
it. Yeah, I just push it on to you.
Thank you very much. You are just for pushing me. Otherwise, I might have forgotten. You see, this is something.
Yes.
We should not judge religion by the action of some members. They might be pariahs, outcasts, and they might be the mediocres. They don't know. And people are, especially now in the world, people are manipulated.
Very much
So
so.
you don't have to use people as a criteria to establish the validity or authenticity of something. But you look at the epitomized examples, the models. Get those ones, you'll get to the truth. So I
Wonderful.
think let me just give
Wonderful. I would like, Pastor Sylvester Jame, I would like all of us to discuss on this next question that I want to ask, with regards to the resolving of conflicts. But when, for example, when a conflict happens between two different communities, let's say communities, a Muslim community and a Christian community, whatever caused the conflict, sometimes the different faiths actually, stirs up certain types of, emotions, how I may say. When conflict happens between different communities of different faiths, how can we resolve those type of conflicts?
Well, that's a very good question. Resolving conflict.
Yes, resolving conflicts.
Well, the first thing that I would consider in resolving a conflict, would be to kind of pinpoint, the source of the conflict. If we can pinpoint the source, then we would then be well informed on how to handle it. So in this nation, we of course know that people respect the religious leaders. So if the religious leaders and community leaders come together, identify the source of the conflict, then the parties involved will be brought together, and then enlightened, or
Dr. Jeta?
Yeah, Dr. Jaita, my father.
I gave you that one, Dr.
Yes. So like he was saying, we would then sit the two parties together, and then educate them. He's saying some very profound things here, that, if people get to know, then they will make adjustments. So basically it's about information. Because when people are not properly informed, then, they can really miss it. They can be derailed, and they could do some very, horrible things. But when people are well informed, and they see light, because the Bible says that the entrance of the word of God brings light and gives understanding to the simple. So when the word comes, when knowledge comes, when information comes, it illuminates the darkness. So people will begin to see what's going on. And then, of course, we would then encourage people to practice what we would call migrative thinking.
That's interesting.
Yes, if we know the source of the problem, we help people to migrate into the world, of the people on the other side of the conflict, and see from the angle. Then we encourage those on the other side to also migrate and see from the other angle. When that happens, usually we tend to see light. I will give an example.
In some cases, some scenarios, the religious leaders are the ones who even instigate these type of conflicts.
You are right.
In those cases, what can we do?
In those cases, well, there would be, many religious leaders. So those who started it might not be able to help.
Yes.
But there are people, there are other religious leaders outside that circle who will be able to come in and assist. Yeah. So I was about to give an example.
Yes. Go on, please.
So, yes, if I put six here on the floor, if I put 6 on the floor here, you, at your angle, you'll be seeing 9.
9, yeah.
And I will be seeing 6. I mean, we can have an argument on and on and on and on, and if we don't migrate into each other's world to see, then there'll be a problem. For example, if I gave you now my belt to hold, right? You could either be agreeing and, you know, aggressive and moving away, in which case there'll be tension on the belt if we hold it.
Yeah.
There'll be tension on the belt, or you could get closer and the tension on the belt would reduce. If you get closer to see from where I'm seeing, the tension will reduce. But if you want to hold on to your opinion and not want to see from my side, then we wouldn't reach, you know, a reasonable solution. Huh?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Pastor, what does the Bible or Christianity say about resolving conflicts, especially with a different faith?
We can take one reference in the book of Luke, as my former classmate and colleague had read and learned, a time in which a few disciples of Jesus came and said, how many times must I forgive somebody who wrongs me? Is it 7 times? He said no. 70 times 7. Not just numerically, but he's just saying a lot of times. Yes. And if somebody does wrong, you don't just sit and say, I'm hurt. He says, go to the person and have it with him, to talk, to resolve. If he fails to accept your attempt, call another person to be like a witness or maybe an advocate, so that at least you could still sort out things. And if he still is stubborn, he doesn't want to reconcile with you, he says, tell the community. Let the community be aware, because he belongs to the community. And then the community can also come eventually to sort out things. And finally he said, if that person is still very stubborn through all these processes, you leave him alone. But all I'm trying to come back to is our own medium, Gambia. We know you don't solve issues or maybe problems by bringing the police. I'm doing it by type of negation. This is like the Socratic method in the area of philosophy. You begin by talking about things that are negative before you come into, and then you don't begin to sort of solve issues by bringing the law. Let's go to court. And lastly, you don't solve issues through a negative way by saying, okay, let's gang up and go and attack them and wage war. That's not it. The solution or the policy through which a certain problem would be sorted out or even look for solution. One is to call the elders, the community elders, those who are influential, religious leaders as well. You made mention of religious leaders who may create
who also
strife.
instigated,
But at the same time too, we are talking about those that really are well-meaning and then they have the fear of God in them. But here in this country, we know that they used to call these community elders, religious leaders, bring them to talk to the community. I've seen that a few times in the area of conflict in the society. There was a strife at the church that was there close to the Fajara Mosque. By then the Fajara Mosque was not that big. And these were playing their drums and music. These wanted to have their own Friday prayers. And all of a sudden something tickled and then they begin to throw stones and things like that. They have to call in late Bishop Johnson, call the Imam and some other religious leaders.
Okay.
And they came and talked on this GRTS radio to be able to talk to the people, let them ease off. The society that we're living in needs peace. We do not want war. We do not want conflict. And you see, from the grounds of the Christian Council also, we had our own method to intervene, sit and talk with the Muslim elders and Muslim religious leaders. And then that was amicably resolved, and through prayer as well, we believe that God intervened to be able to allow peace to prevail in this blessed country.
Yes. Are you done?
Yeah.
can we just delve more into this topic just a little bit more? Should we omit justice to attain peace?
Omitting justice to attain peace is an impossibility. Yeah, because before the effect is produced, make sure the cause is there. And in the absence of the cause, there will be no effect. You know, the whole system, the whole law of nature is based on this. Causes and effects. So this is why before you just advocate justice, fairness, make sure that injustice disappears. When the causes that, foments trouble leading to the conflagration of problems in society, make sure that the causes either they are mitigated or they are completely suppressed. So this is why this is a very interesting thing, and the Quran advises and recommends that that whenever there are signs of fear, that something can just get out of control, make sure that, as Father rightly said, our society, we believe in reconciliation. You know, wherever the police intervenes, it will never give justice to the party that is offended. It will never end the conflict, and it will propagate the problem. Yeah, because actually they go according to principles that are unsuitable to our community living systems. So for that matter, when we see conflicts, how are we going to go and suppress conflicts? Let's try to find out. Somebody must be there, out there, dedicated, to make sure that he's able to identify, as Pastor said, the causes of the problems. When these causes are suppressed, then the problems will be mitigated, because human society, problems, these are inevitable, unavoidable, because there are classes of interest. So human beings are competing for interest. Then as a result, there must be constant and continuous problems in society. But we can mitigate it. You know, as he said, piety, fear, consciousness of the supreme being. You know, religious leaders, you name them religious leaders, instigating people to commit things that are going to be detrimental to our social living. Well, we can even qualify them as religious leaders, but it's better to qualify them as leaders incarnate in something that I wouldn't say. Because a true religious leader will never ask the congregation or instigate them to do something that is out of the teachings and the principles of what he is propagating.
Very much so.
So this is something that we can even define as hypocrisy. Say and doing a different thing. But you see, in our society, Father Gomez, Pastor Jame, myself, humbly, we can contain and solve every problem that transpires in this society on condition that we have piety, we take the right methods, and the people that we're going to engage to bring about peaceful coexistence, these people command our respect, because we are an example, a model. They see us all the time doing righteous things. If you are not righteous, you cannot preach righteousness.
No.
So this is the nitty-gritty of the whole methodology. In the Gambia, one thing about Gambians, they have three characteristics. They are resilient, they are peaceful, and they are not violent. And when people have these three characteristics, you manipulate them. And this is why we are manipulated in every level, at every level. So religious leaders, psychologically, if we are able to know these things, you know, there will be no problem. And it is high time we come out and speak strongly, constructively, engage communities, because we're approaching something nobody knows. Understand? Because the young generation, you know, is unruly. The young generation has no principle. Their principle is what they hear and see in Facebook. I call them the graduates of Facebook school. So these things, they are dangerous people. So we need to be very strong. You know, when they see us, you know, conducting such debates, or rather, dialogues all the time, engaging each other, clarifying points that are not very clear, ambiguous points, obviously we can be impacted impacting on their outlook, their visions, and their understanding of life. So this will at least mitigate. At least it will mitigate the temper. It will mitigate. In fact, ignorance is the number one enemy. Ignorance of the order is the number one enemy.
Very much so.
If I know my father and my pastor, what they represent and what they stand, where they take it, and they know mine, well, we are brothers. Finish. Yeah.
Very interesting. When the elders or the religious leaders quell that tension, when they stop the war, they stop the conflict, how can we actually reconcile? Not just make peace, but actually re-love one another back again.
That's right. I'm glad you've used that word love, because you see, Jesus took 10 commandments that were given, and he summarized these 10 commandments into two, just two. Number one, he says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Number two, he says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. But there must be the vertical, because the vertical is what holds the horizontal. This is represented in the cross of Jesus Christ. A cross has two beams. One is horizontal, the other one is vertical. But it is the vertical that holds the horizontal. And that is a lesson there. If my relationship with God is healthy, then my relationship with people will be healthy. The word love is the common denominator in these two commandments. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. Common denominator, love. Jesus further summarized everything into one statement. He says, a new commandment I give you, love one another. So that word you use is critical. I mean, it's important. And that word can be demystified. How do we demystify the word love? We use two words to demystify love. One, give. Two, forgive. Mother Teresa said, love is to give until it hurts. But we say, love is to give and forgive until it hurts. Now, getting back to your point, people can have convictions, and we all have convictions, but I believe there's a formula that helps. Convictions plus compassion will always generate peace. So now, if we resolve whatever problem there was, in a particular community, the people must display that virtue of compassion.
Great, thank you very much. We're almost exhausting our time, but before we actually end this wonderful discussion, just I would like to allow Pastor Edu Gomez to speak in Wolof a little bit. Nga wasi si kalama Wolof tuuti lan moo waral waxtaan bi tey ak waxtaan bi fan la moo jublu.
jërëjëf ñun ñëpp bokk nañ ci jotaay jële mu nekk waxtaan boo xam ne bii dañ ko dëgëral ci li ñoo jëm moo di ne naka la ñoo mun a def ba diggante ay nit ñi bokk réew ay doomu réew nekk benn juboo te di ànd te loolu lañ doon waxtaanee lu jëm ci mbiri nag lañ ko ayati sax war a am diggante ndax diine bii nga bokka mbaate diine bale mbaate yoon bii nga bokk mbaate yoon ngal ba nga bokka su ko defee ñu mun a gis suñ boppa nit ñi ñoo xam ne dañu jokkoo te dañoo demalante dañoo waxtaan dañoo gis ne li nga xam ne moo nekk suñ kanam mooy am ragal yàlla juboo te loolu mooy mun a dem bu ñoo wax interreligious dialogue ci wàlla woo xam ne la buñ ne yoon wi mbaate yoon wala diine bi mbaate diine bale christian mbaate muslim ak loo mun di jàppa nga gisee sa boppa nit koo xam ne kii yàlla la bind te nga am ragam yàlla ci yow boo fa jógee di nga mun a waxtaan ak nit am demlante ñoole moom bu ko defee seen toogaay seen dëkkuwaay ne loolu la ñu waxtaanee nii te ñu ngi ko jëmale ci ndaw ñi tey mag ñi dañ ko daan def dañ daan oyante toog waxtaan dañ daan seetiyante yokkalante xel ñi nga xam ne ñoo ñu jiite ci yoonu diine li ñoo waare moo di ne na nit ñi jubboo nekk benn te diine balaa moo mut nit nekk ci li nga xam ne moom la ko diineem laajte li yàlla wax te mooy lan juboo nekk benn ngir ne yàlla bindut mbindeef yi nekk ci àdduna si pour ñu nekk ay ñuy xeex di reyante di buumante waaye ndax ñu mun a nekk benn te di ànd soo déggee ñu ne religious coexistence mooy rek ngeen nekk ci benn dëkkuwaay boo xam ne bii dafa mel ni néeg boo leen bokka waaye ku ci nekkaa ngi am sa néegi boppa kenn du tëj boppam ci biir néeg boobu noonu kuy faw foog na nga génn si te boo génn si lan ngaa wax salaamaaleykum mbaate mbokk naka nga def juboo nekk fa mu war a nekk boo leen génnee sax dem liggéey fi ngeen a liggéey boo leen dellu si benn dëkkuwaay bi la boo seetee Gambia li fi gën a neex te bokkaat nit ñi mooy boo seetee benn kër di nga am ña këri luwaas kii xeet bii la kale xeet bali la kii nii la kii lali la te di nga gis sax ajuma nga génne ci kër googu ne maa ngaa dem juma dimanche kenn ki jóg ne maa ngaa dem ci cooj ba la raj tax loolu dem jaamu yàlla bi nga xam ne moom nga gom te boo fa jógee ngeen delluwaat ci benn kër gi ngeen toog fa dëkkuwaay ba gën a neex àndandoor ba gën a neex ngeen toog di jàmlante yar seen doom yi ku nekk war a xamante bañ dooree di waxtaan balaa ñoo dugg ci programme bi ministre Hamad Jaay Timile dafa oo turam ma mun a fàttaliku lu jëm ci mbëri ñeneen fukki at léegi su ma jumulee waaw 1972 lañ tasee form 1 in Senogons High School waaye dafa oo turam jëma ji ci wecceeku na kawar gi weex na ak yonoon yi waaye ñaar ma mun a delloo suma xel baak fàttaliku ne kii dee suma classmate la woon li ma ko wax loolu la ma wax te naka la demee ca biir classe bi lañ génnoon a jàppante biñ jeexale bi dem ku nekk sa wàllu boppa ñu ngi nii defu ni xamut ma ne defu ma ni xaw ma ko waaye dafa oo turam rek like suma deret yëngatu suma xel mën maa delloo ne kii dey yéen a bokkoon classe yaa ngi gis loolu so jotaay googu lañ nekk di waxtaanee naka la nit ñi ndax ci xeet la ndax ci diine la ndax ci dëkka naka lañ mën a am jubluwaay ku nekk mën a gis sa boppa ni benn am cofeel ànd te di dimbalante ci dara loo xam ne lii du leen lor loolu lañ gis te loolu lañ wax ne moom lañ bugga mu continuer ci biir Gambia dañoo ragal ne mun naa am ni jamono yi demee nii le ñi ñaa ngi wecci seen xelaat bugguñoo xam sax kan mooy kan and niñ ko doon waxee fii itam mun naa am yenn kilifa diine yi ñooy wax bul moytul kii bul am affaire kale seetal kii diineem motul ak yeneen wax yoo xam ne dafa indi ñàkk a juboo su ma ne daal juboo ak am cofeel ci sa morom moom lañ war a def ci suñu Gambia bi tey ba Gambia bi mun a dem xale yi dañoo nekk di foo Gambia du dem ma ne du dem Gambia bi réewu diine la mag ñi dañ ko ñaanal mag ñi seen ñaan dafa tax mu barkeel réew mi so bu ñoo wax waxi Gambia du dem lu man damay wax ne boolu waxi seytaane la nañ ko bàyyi te xam ne Gambia dina dem ndegem benn yàlla bi moo ñoo sàmm benn Gambia lañ am te Gambia du mun a nekk ñaar mukk lu dul benn
inshallah well jërëjëf Pastor Edu Gomez, thank you very much for that wonderful words of wisdom. Well, unfortunately, I wish we had at least another 1 hour to actually delve into this wonderful topic, but unfortunately we just have a few more minutes to go, just like one more minute to go. But thank you very much. Yeah, I wish. Well, if Grts marketing will allow that, but we'll actually allow Dr. Jata just to briefly explain in Mandinka why is it important for the leaders, Borom Hamhami, you want to maintain peace, a peaceful coexistence between different dialogues. Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Badi Mandinkolo, Mfelembe Benkanjan, Nim Father Gomez, and then Pastor Jamme, and then Membe Maradem Benwala Njai,
Cham.
na kumo men sata angale kan to pro kada mandin fomba de mandin kole mun kammala muru salo monati nan ka benjam a bengo dalilo momenti wolom molu men ya lon ko ila sil mankilen wala ibe dinol men to e mankilen wolo nyanta balula nyaadi le tanko anen nyon horomo kono anen bunya bo bengol to jang na diamol befo misalo fo men be je wolom fada men be sirin yara fantene wo be karanwa ka dula kilinde sanji tannani ko man to benen konton o fay doron hakilo murunta kaje ka ne mole karanwa ke Senagostin high school odo mo christian karambo molati wolam jumaten ka entelom so akamunta ko mo dalilo dolti ka tandi ko nse baluno le nyonkan barabe lori minkan wolon tol kilin wakilin nan badin ma do na fahamu ban ake mira nyaadile atala dino mu'minati ala chosano mu'minati e kamem fo momo e kala fi fawolale bari wandi mol fanam bunya love yourself but respect others ndela taninela e fango la fi fawola bari mol be bunya ni o ke doron be balula nole parce que na dino islam ay mbula wala muslim o fango to mu'minati momi ye tanka mol tankatala torola so nim kata wanyama woton se balu nole nim momo be nyaton kayaka almamolom bam fadalom pastolom isa kata molu mini bela chocho koto walela misiro kono eke ya marka tandila ko ala le tamu dinot ala le kam molu kanda etela do ko mu'minati afo moli e come if they come the Lord will guide them that's the limit but ye mol nati koy be kala dina don ko atatano so ka fitino le bondi fitino sababu ko to mu'minati because I don't know you, you don't know me. We are curious about each other. And accusing you, you're accusing me. Accusations, to eternity. What a problem was solved. And any problem ninkona solve, we must make sure that nim problem will follow the dorong, na suppress akana wuli. And nim problem will follow ta, natana ada kendol to kebalu ke kilisati kono, either the elders in the church or the elders in the community or in the mosque, ne kili ye problem oban police waya da ka fu fengo fento aka police le police is police polish is polish police so anywhere a police intervenes it polish that case it will never end this is what I believe in police wo dunta koko da ka police kana dun deji so nim fota jan safuko ala man to be kala gambia dingolti banko diya wolom yemine ke bankoye Bankudia, to be a Gambian is what you are able to do for the Gambia. So ni wakatan to be mo badin wallet. Alam be bota Adam alebala and Adam alaya deda aida itamu misili moleti mo Christianoti to be bota Adam alebala wato na nyom muta. Na nyom kili. A Christian can call me to his religion and I can respond based on the reasons he have. A Muslim called a Christian to his religion. These are invitations. These are not compulsory. It's based on my intelligence, consciousness, and the will of Allah or God. So ninna mu kotin be men fola moli alama kairo sabatila alama mole nyom fahamu alama kunun min diata ay murun nambarate muruna lande for the religious leaders solo, community leaders solo, opinion leaders solo, those in authority in the government, if they come together and identify the problem and suppress the causes and enhance what is going to be beneficial for everybody.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Dr. Jete. You can hold the back. Thank you very much.
Call me doctor. I'm not a doctor. No.
Mr. Jete, then. Thank you very much. Well, that's all we had for this edition of the Peace Building program, which is sponsored by
Caritas.
Caritas. Yeah, thank you very much. Which is sponsored by them through the Roman Catholic Church here in the Gambia. Thank you very much. Till we see you again next time, same place, same station. Bye for now.
Thank you. Yeah.